our podcast, Keeping It Real.
The biggest misconception is that when I invest or if I start preparing for my future, I'm losing income. But the difference between saving money and storing money is investing is actually growing money. It's a difference. I'm 20 years old. I'm 21 years old. I don't need to worry about that right now. There are absolute benefits to starting as early as possible. If every single household started coaching their own families properly, I could probably in confidence guarantee that the future Canada would be in a completely different situation. He goes away for work and she's spending everything that he's earning. So by the time he gets back, everything that he's expecting to save is gone. So you know what? You're that 20-year-old and you decide to stop at 45 instead of starting at 45. So you invest $300 a month to age 45 at 7%. You are still gonna have $914,000. Harry, have you come across clients that seem to always want to wait, or they've got an excuse about they can't start right now on their financial plan or their retirement plan? There's always a reason. You come across those clients?
Oh, for anything really, actually, everyone's always wanting to procrastinate because it's something new, right? It's something that they don't know what the outcome's going to be, so it's going to be uncomfortable for them. So it's just easier to wait, right, until everything's perfect. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, unless they want to buy something, then it's like right
Right.
now.
Right. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Right? Okay. So we're going to go today. The cost of waiting. Why starting small beats waiting for more money. Okay. So most Canadians think they need a raise, or, they need to be out of debt, or you know what? Let's talk about our season. Christmas is coming. Let's start after Christmas, right? Before they start doing any kind of saving, investing, preparations, anything for their future. But this mindset is quietly destroying their long-term wealth. Let's talk about how starting with whatever you have, it doesn't even matter. It's like $25, right? $25 to $100 a month is more powerful than waiting for the perfect move. Like realistically, have you ever told yourself you'll start saving once you get a raise? Like once Christmas is over, once the debts are gone? Today, we're going to expose the truth. Waiting is the most expensive financial decision most Canadians ever make.
Yeah, and actually, we're going to go through examples that prove people who start with small amounts actually build more wealth than people who wait for more money. And really, if you think about it, it's your future self, guys, that's depending on what you do now. Just like anything else, really, with all your goals in the future, they're depending on what you do now. And not later. Do you want me to go
Absolutely.
into it?
The biggest misconception is that when I invest or if I start preparing for my future, I'm losing income, right? People actually equate that. They equate to financial preparation to less spending money or losing income, right? Where the reality is, if you start a proper plan now, you'll actually have more money in your future income. You're not losing it. You're actually protecting it from things like inflation and preparing it into an opportunity for financial freedom in the future.
That's interesting how you say that, because you're right. Like when people think that they have to put away some of their paycheck into something, automatically they think they're losing, right? Because they're not getting anything back in the immediate. Kind of go back to what you just said, except for when people want to buy something, right? They get something out of it, like immediately they buy something, right? But when they're investing, they're not thinking that they're getting anything from it, which is why they're probably more apprehensive about doing it. And so it is a mindset. It's a mindset about investing. When we go through why people wait, I think that's one of the biggest things is they don't get anything immediately in their hands, some of them, or the benefit comes later. So when we talk about the excuses, it's like things like you said, I'll start when I get more money, like a raise, or after I pay off these debts, or in the new year, just like everybody else's resolution, I'll start saving money in the new year. Like coming back to committing to a monthly contribution, because again, it's part of their paycheck going to something that they don't see right away. Some people make the excuse they don't want to lose money because they'd rather listen to people who have said, oh, don't do that because that's like gambling. I think I've heard that times before. Or like even just feeling like they don't even know about money, so they're not good with it. Yeah, they'd rather get so perfect. Well, and again, I think this is just them making excuse after excuse. And really, again, it's not about perfection. I think people have heard this. It's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? You actually triggered something in my mind here when you were talking. I actually hear people. Let's say I'm advising a couple, and then one of the and so let's say we want to go married couple. We're going to go boyfriend girlfriend, and let's say I'm talking to the girlfriend and setting up a plan for that person. And then the boyfriend comes in. Oh, you know what? We don't need to do that. I know how to save money, right? I'm good at saving money. Meanwhile, they're in a financial situation already. So if you know how to save money, why are you in a financial situation? One. Secondly, what's your idea of saving money? Oh, I'm just going to start saving money in my bank. I'm going to start setting money aside in my bank account, right? They don't understand that saving is storing money. The word save, like that idea of saving money, you're just storing money. Yeah, you're putting it aside in a separate bank account, or like you're putting it in your pillowcase or whatever, right? But the difference between saving money and storing, with storing money is investing is actually growing money. It's a difference, right? When you're investing money properly, it's actually growing it. And that's what we do. We show people how to, in their eyes, save the money in a financial tool that's actually going to grow, not just sit there and be stored, right? And that's what people don't understand. And the other part of it is, when you were saying about, when we talked about how people, they have something tangible in their hand, it's immediate gratification because they bought something. And then 3 days later, they're sitting there at their table stressing out about not having money, and they can't figure out why they don't have money. So, you have that immediate gratification that you've bought something, yes, but there's a repercussion to that purchase, because why are you worrying about the money after? Well, one, for some reason you forget that you just blew a few $100s on this thing that you just bought, right? For some reason you forget that. But the thing is, you haven't actually established a financial plan that's growing in the background, right? To be able to spend that money in the first place.
Right.
A good financial plan is happening in the background. You have your allotted or your set budget of spending. So now you can actually spend freely without worrying about whether you spent too much, because your plan is working in the background. As long as you're spending within the means of that plan.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we do. We make a life worry-free. Right?
Yeah.
So
you're
now let's
basically like kind of sacrificing, like what you said, is you're sacrificing whatever you bought for the later on stress.
Yeah, which I don't know, like, to me that is not worth it.
No.
Relationships, mental health, all of these things, a lot of it stems from financial issues.
Yep.
Right? A lot of it. That seems to be, it seems to be almost the starting point, and then everything else starts from there. The emotional stresses, the mental stresses, the arguments, all of it starts from a financial situation a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So, and people don't seem to equate that to their habits.
No.
Right? They equate it to, oh, that person just doesn't want to work hard enough, or that person is, not doing this, or that they start blaming, as opposed to looking at their actual financial or their personal spending habits and their financial habits, and figuring out, okay, wait, that might be the core problem. Is we don't have a foundation, we don't have a plan, we haven't set up the blueprints to build the basement, to build the rest of the house. We're starting at the roof and just spending what our dreams and everything right now.
Right.
And so everything keeps collapsing on us. Well, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're not even thinking about what got you there in the first place.
Right. And you know what? When is the best time to start? The minute you hear about it. Like, you hear about these things all the time. You hear about setting up a financial plan, but you know what? I'm 20 years old. I'm 21 years old. I don't need to worry about that right now. There are absolute benefits to starting as early as possible. You know what? If you're an 18-year-old out there listening to this video, listen and start, because you will try and find Irene and I when you're 30, 40, 50. We might not be around, but you're going to want to thank us anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start, if you're 20 years old, right? Let's assume that we start somebody at a very conservative people. Like, I have clientele that have investment portfolios sitting right now in this supposedly terrible time to invest at 17% right now in this terrible time. And I bet you, if you were to look at your bank account and see how much interest you're earning on your accounts right now, it's not 17. And we're not even talking about interest. We're talking about compounding interest in this, which is a different topic. Like, it's a different podcast altogether. We're going to keep this very simple, just because we want to get through this, in a fairly short period of time. But we're going to start at a conservative rate. Let's say 7% in, okay? Conservative rate of 7%. And I know people, you're not even seeing that at your bank now, but that's conservative for a proper investment. Okay. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about it in a tax-free savings account. Okay. And we're going to say we're going to contribute $300 just for ease of math. $300 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
if you were to get a 20-year-old, right, contributing $300 a month from age 20 to age 65, okay? An average 20-year-old, what? Let's say they're working a minimum wage job, full-time hours, and they're probably still living at home, right? At the age of 20. And so they're raking in roughly what, about 25, their net, like they're actually putting in their bank account around $2,500 to $2,700 a month, right? Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they are paying for their own car and they have car insurance. So let's say they're spending roughly about $800 a month on that car insurance. They're a really nice kid, and they're giving their parents another $300 a month for rent, which doesn't happen, but we're just saying this.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So now they're let's say, so they're at what, $1,100 a month expense. Okay. And let's say that they're really super nice kids and they're giving an extra $150 to their parents for groceries and bills and expenses. Right.
Yeah.
So now they're sitting at, I'm going to go, my head's not good for math. So I'm going to round this up to say $1,400 a month of expenses.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they're bringing in $2,400 to $2,700 a month, they've got an extra $1,000 of disposable income there.
Yeah.
What is typically happening is they're just throwing that money out the window. They're spending it. They're whatever, right? They're not doing anything. Let's say, so of that extra $1,000, they're just putting $300 a month away into a proper investment account. If they did that up to age 65, because as they get older, they're going to make more money, even though they're going to get more expenses as they get older, they will be making more money.
Right.
They would have themselves put in $162,000. So, that person who says, I want to save money, you're going to save $162,000 by doing this.
Sure. Yeah.
You would have done the same thing by putting it in the bank. You would have saved $162,000. The difference between that person saying, I'm going to save this money, and what we could do is by age 65, instead of only having $162,000, they would have approximately $970,000.
And that's on 7%.
That's at 7%. And again, people, currently, and I want to use the term, since inception, since my portfolios have started with some of my clients, they're sitting at 17 right now. I think I was doing my year end for a lot of clients, and I think my lowest one, which is an extremely conservative portfolio, was sitting at 9%. So it's still even higher than 7%, right? Yeah. So that's at 7%, $970,000 if they invested this properly. For that, the same person trying to save $300 a month instead of having $162,000. That's how much. Now, let's say, Irene, can you tell me now if let's say I say, you know what, Irene, I'm still 20 years old. I want to live my life. I'm going to start at 35 doing this. What would happen? What's the difference?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you asked that because, this is the kind of thing we talk about starting late and 15 years later, which is pretty,
normal.
15 years later makes them 35, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just doing the math while you're talking, literally, because we do this all the time. It just kind of comes second nature. And if they were to do 7% and same $300, but they started at 35, which reduces it by 15 years, at the end of, let's say they still get 7%. At the end, instead of 162,000, they're contributing 108,000. If we did the same math with 7%, they would get 425,000 instead of the 970 you talked about.
Wow. Yeah. That's a huge difference. That's a difference of $545,000 they literally threw in the garbage.
$500,000.
$500,000 gone.
Yeah. And do the math if they started at 45, Phil. Just to see.
So we're talking 45, and I'll be honest with you, I have a ton of people that are literally in this situation.
Yeah.
They haven't started. They're like, I got to start now. Because why are they thinking about starting now? Well, because 65 doesn't seem so far away. Mm-hmm. And it's not. So here's the difference, people. You start at 65 or at 45, and you're literally doing the same thing as that 20-year-old. One, you're only going to contribute 72,000. So you've saved $72,000 as opposed to 162,000. Okay. So you've saved only half the money at age 65. You'll only earn $190,000 at 7%.
Holy Hannah.
So you are literally giving up $780,000 to this 20-year-old who's being coached and told, hey, why don't you start doing this now? Because one, you have the ability to do it right now. Why not start, right?
Yeah.
You're literally throwing away almost $250,000, well, more than $250,000 or $750,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's so big. The difference is so big. And you don't have anything tangible because you had to give up $300 a month, but you're giving up way more than that. Literally. You're not even giving up anything. thing. Well, by putting $300 a month, you're actually giving up because you're just sitting on it. You're not taking advantage of the time.
That's right. 100% correct in that. And it's really ridiculous because, and I want to do the math here for that 20-year-old who says, I know how to do save, I know how to save money. Okay,
Mm.
so you save money by setting the money aside. You
Yeah.
are giving up the ability to have $808,000.
Yeah.
$808,000. You're giving up that ability to earn that potential by just saving it in a bank account.
Yeah.
Right, for that 20-year-old who might be able to set aside $300 every single month and decide that they're going to do it on their own.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because like when we're preaching to people who are our age, right, who didn't do this back in the day, like it's not too late. Let's just say that. Okay. Like, yeah, the difference in money if you started when you were 20 is huge, but it's not too late. Okay. Anything now is great, but talk to your kids because
Yeah.
this is it, guys. Like you people who are our age have kids that are coming onto this age right now. Like you need to protect them by giving them this education, by telling them this is the difference it's going to make. Go see Auntie Irene or Uncle Philip and talk about how they can make you literally a millionaire by the time you're ready to stop working, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. They don't, so most people we sit down with, most Canadians, I'll say, don't realize the amount they think they're saving just by waiting, like $300 a month, but it's actually costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars later.
Yeah. And then you come across these people who say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be around. I don't like, there's no guarantee that I'm going to reach 65.
Oh my God.
You know what? And to those people, you're 100% correct, but there's a greater chance that you will, right? There is a greater chance that you will reach 65. And if you do reach 65 and then you decide that you're going to start this, you're going to wish that you didn't give that speech back when you were 20, right? But here's the worst part about that is you can't catch up anymore at that.
No.
For the 45-year-olds, and the 50-year-olds that are listening to this video, you know what? Irene's absolutely correct. It's not too late to start, but you're never going to be able to catch up, right? That's impossible to catch up. You may not be in a position where you're going to retire the way you need to retire, right? Because you're starting now, so you're not gonna have the luxury Lamborghini lifestyle, right? But something is better than nothing. So yes, you need to start absolutely if you haven't started yet, but also yes, your kids, your grandkids, anyone in your family that is younger, you need to speak to. It's very, very important. You want to give them a Christmas gift, you give them that Christmas gift of knowledge. You let them know, hey, you need to start something right now. Start it for them, right? Start it for them. Help them out. If you want, that's the best Christmas gift you can give anybody is start their retirement plan for them.
Yeah.
Right. If they're under the age of 18, start an RESP for them. Start something. Start an education plan for them, or start some kind of a program for them where they're going to have something beginning, and then coach them, help them to understand that they need to speak to a professional as they get older, right? Yep. We need to start conditioning our future Canadians, our future world, to start thinking that way. Everyone talks about the country deficit. They talk about the country budget. They talk about all of these things, and they're blaming the government. They're blaming. If every single household started coaching their own families properly, I could probably in confidence guarantee that the future Canada would be in a completely different situation.
Yep.
But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this. How often when you run across a young couple, let's say a 20-year-old or 25-year-old, and you see that they have no financial sensibility or no financial habits, right? And we're trying to coach them. How often do you see when you look at their parents that their parents are literally in a position where they're not going to be able to retire properly, or they're themselves in a serious financial situation?
It's interesting you asked that question because I'm thinking of a 23-year-old right now. But the only reason I got introduced to him was because of his parents. So his parents actually took accountability, wanted to look at their finances, were interested in what I put out there, approached me. And then they said, you know what, you need to talk to our son. And he is just so much, he is just so open to, I mean, the fact is that he really respects his parents. So he's going to take their advice seriously. But when he came to see me, he was just so open to the advice, and he knew that she's the expert. She's going to help me. My parents trust her. So it's actually the opposite. So this is just like it's just confidence that if you actually do look at your own finances, guys, people who are my age, your age, Phil, and you start to look at your and don't look at your mistakes as feeling shameful, but look at how you've done things up until now and don't make those mistakes again, you'll realize how important it is for your kids to know what we can tell you. That's the only thing I could say. Like when I deal with a kid, I should say kid, what, a 20-year-old,
Young adult.
right? Young adult.
Yeah.
Chances are the opposite happens. They go to their parents and they tell them, "Hey, I'm doing this," and their parents give them this wild advice, and they've canceled what we've done for them because I haven't had a chance to talk to the parents. Their parents like, "Oh, don't worry about that. Talk to my advisor." And usually it's the banker that's at their bank. You don't need that. You don't need that. Go see my person, right? And they've just unraveled everything we've done. So and of course they're going to rely on their parents because their parents, of course, is telling them what to do, and they, relied on them up until now. Like everything we've done for them, and their parents don't do anything in finances, and their parents probably still have the debts and probably have no clue. That's what happens when I deal with the young adult first who doesn't know about finances. They somehow think that their second opinion should go to their parents. And yes, I get it. You want your parents' opinion, right? But at the end of the day, take a look at your parents' finances. It's like, Mom and Dad, show me where you have your investments. I want to know where your investments are. And chances are they probably don't even know.
Yeah. You know what? I had recently a similar situation where I had a young person, 20-year-old, and we laid out everything for her. And then she went home to visit her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, unraveled everything, right? And I had another situation, similar, where I was talking to a young couple. They actually referred me to the mother-in-law, right? Because the mother-in-law, again, this young couple was in financial turmoil. In relation, the mother-in-law was also in financial turmoil, was actually going to the bank to do a consolidation loan, right? And so when I spoke to the mother, it was so interesting to see the daughter and the mother's financial habits were literally identical.
Oh, really?
They were identical. I was like, wow, like there was so much commonality there. And so I had to educate the mother. The mother is just like the daughter, still, set on wanting to spend everything instead of saying everything. The mother is in her late 40s and still can't wrap her head around the idea that I need to start saving something because I'm not going to keep working past a certain age. The husband was all for it and ready to go and actually did set up a financial plan for himself, but I'm still having trouble getting the mother on board, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really, talk about the difficulties there that this couple will have later on, because literally he's going to be set, at least to the best that we can do, because of the fact that, he is starting late as well, but he's going to be in a lot better situation than her. And he's literally going to have to hold her up financially later in life unless she gets on board now, right? And it was so interesting to see because the younger couple, it was literally the same thing. The husband was bang on ready to start something. She was more interested in wanting to spend everything. He goes away for work and she's spending everything that he's earning. So by the time he gets back, everything that he's expecting to have saved is gone. That's actually how it started with me. It's because his father noticed this habit. He's going away for work, putting everything into their joint bank account. She's literally spending everything before he even gets back. So they've got no savings for him being away from his family. They've got young children and everything. And he's missing time with his young children to earn this income, right? Mm-hmm. And she's spending everything before he even gets a chance to come back. So we had to figure out a way of how are we going to set that money aside, right? Well, difficulty when he does go away. Now she's spending even more. She's spending more. So then they're now having trouble paying bills, right? Because they are putting money aside, but she's spending beyond the budget that's laid out, right? So it's a really, like when you don't have the habits, people, as parents out there, if you don't have the habit, think of this. What impact are you doing to those innocent eyes that are watching and learning from you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so as parents, we want to do the best things for our kids. Like I want to do the best things for my children. I'm sure you want to do the best thing for your kids. So what you do is you go out and spend and buy things for them and you condition them to do the same thing for their kids, et cetera, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. If you're not in a good financial situation now and you're struggling and you're stressing and you're going through anxiety and you're going through all these things, is that the gift you want to give your kids? Yeah. Because if you're going through that emotional turmoil right now due to money and finance, they will too.
Yes. Yep.
And that's really the thing. You want to give them a gift? Give them a gift of conditioning their habits.
Yeah. Yeah. Start now. Like, yes, it might be too late. It's never too late, but it might be too late for you to be able to, retire a millionaire. But it's not too late for your kids. And that's just
Absolutely.
it. And they're going to, if you're lucky enough to live for a long time, they're the ones you're going to rely on. Oh, I see this all the time. I see this all the time. I work with seniors and they're like, guys, and the oldest person in my retirement community is 99. Okay. So let's say he didn't do very well with his finances. Now he's relying on his adult children who might even be grandparents themselves, right? He's relying on them to kind of help him or her be in a good place because he can afford it. Well, if you haven't done anything to work your finances so you're retiring comfortably or living comfortably in old age, then you're going to be relying on the kids. And if you haven't taught them anything, guess what? They're going to be just as broke, if not broker than you.
Yeah. In the end, to the 20-year-old out there, do you want to have, $970,000 when you're ready to retire? Do you want to have that $1 million at some point in your life? Or do you want to still be living paycheck to paycheck at 65?
Yeah.
Right. That's a choice that you have to make now. Right. You have to make that choice now. It's very simple math. It's very easy to figure out. Right. Yeah. The other part of it is, okay, you might be saying, but you're doing $300 a month. You don't have to start at $300 a month. It's all based off of your budget and what we call disposable income.
Mhm.
Right. So let's say your disposable income is only $50 a month.
Mhm.
You start because if you hear the theme that Irene and I are speaking about right now, it's habits.
Yeah.
It's about habits. It's about conditioning yourself. So even if you start at $50 a month, you're going to start realizing, I'm not missing that anymore.
Right.
4 months later, 5 months later, you're not missing that $50 anymore. Okay, so now let's increase that another $50.
Right.
Okay, so by the time you're 21, you're investing $150 every single month, and you're not missing it because you've conditioned yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's $150. So then by the time you're 22, maybe you're doing $300 a month because you're no longer missing it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're dead on board and on that path to that $1 million by 65.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, you stop your investments at around 45, you are still going to be in a whole lot better position than if you didn't start until 45. So you know what? You're that 20-year-old and you decide to stop at 45 instead of starting at 45. So you invest $300 a month to age 45 at 7%. You are still going to have $914,000 at 65. Instead of that 45-year-old starting and you're just stopping at 45 instead, you will still reach it as long as you leave that money sitting in that investment to 65.
Right.
It's always best to start early.
Yeah.
If you decide that you want to stop later, and you know what, I'm 45 now. I've been saving since I was 20. I want to start using that $300 a month to do things.
Yeah.
You know what? Have at it now.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You know what? And just leave that money that you've invested in that investment, and it will be almost $1 million by the time you're 65 still. Right.
Yeah.
And again, that's at a conservative 7%.
Right.
How crazy is that for a 20-year-old not to do this?
Well, that's just it. So you just have to plan. It's not impossible. You just have to plan. We'll work with your numbers. And I think that maybe while we drive this home, I think one of the biggest things people need to realize is, and this is kind of a way of looking at it, and I don't know if that's going to help, but if I told you, let me keep and invest $300 a month of your income, 20-year-olds, and in exchange, in 45 years, I'm just going to hand you $1 million. You're probably going to do the math in your head, right? You're going to do 300 a month. Oh, 300 a month and times how many years? Like, what did you say? Oh, 45 years. Okay. I'm only going to give you $162,000, but you're going to give me $1 million? Yeah. Like, doesn't that make sense? Like, if someone had said to you, give me $300 a month for the next 20 or 45 years, but I'm going to give you $1 million back at the end of that 45 years. It's a no-brainer. That's exactly what we're talking about, folks.
Yeah. And they don't seem to put that together.
No.
Right. But that's literally the same thing.
Yeah. Literally the same thing. Yeah.
So here's what people, like, subscribe to our channel, send us a message, reach out to us, and Irene and I will personally help you get this started.
Yeah. And folks, if you're a parent of a 20-year-old and you haven't done this yet, same thing.
Yeah, literally the same thing. You need to speak to us, like and subscribe, and then send us a message and we will reach out to you personally.
100%. Anyways, have a great day.
Take care, guys.